It is the middle of the night. A lion moves toward the human camp, silent, downwind, the way it has killed 1,000 times before. Inside, the humans are asleep, soft, slow, blind in the dark. Easy prey. The lion should keep coming, but at the edge of the firelight, it stops. Something makes it hesitate. Not the sleeping humans. They can't hurt it. Something else. Something the lion has learned the hard way, that every predator in this land has learned, that this camp, even silent, even sleeping, is a trap. And the animals that ignored that warning are dead, so the lion turns and melts back into the dark. Why? What did these humans do to put fear into a lion's heart while they slept? Stay with me, because the answer is one of the most brilliant things our ancestors ever built. A defense that protected them even while they were unconscious. And it explains something you still feel right now, every time you sit near a fire. Let's start by being honest about how helpless we actually were, because that is what makes this whole story so strange. A sleeping human is close to the most defenseless thing in all of nature. Think about it. No claws to speak of. No armor. No fangs. Eyes closed, ears dulled, awareness switched off. We can't smell danger coming the way a deer can. We can't leap awake and run in a heartbeat. A human deep in sleep is soft, slow, and blind. A warm, quiet meal lying still in the dark. By every rule of the wild, that should be the easiest kill a predator ever makes. Your ancestors spent hours in that state. Every single night, out in a world absolutely crawling with things that ate meat. And consider how deep our vulnerability really goes, because human sleep is strange. Most prey animals sleep in short, shallow bursts, ready to bolt awake at the faintest wrong sound. A deer barely lets its guard down at all. We do the opposite. Humans sink into long, deep, heavy sleep, including a stage where the body goes almost completely limp, unable to move at all. We surrender consciousness fully for hours, in a way most animals never dare to. For an animal living among giant predators, that is close to insane. It is the sleep of something that feels safe, and nothing in that world had any right to feel safe. So the very fact that our ancestors could sleep that deeply, night after night, is itself a clue. You do not evolve to sleep like that unless something is reliably keeping you alive while you do it. The deep sleep is the evidence. It means the protection was real, and it was trusted, and the predators of that world were nightmares. We're not talking about the animals you see today. The ancient world was ruled by giants. Cave lions bigger than any lion alive now. Cave bears that stood taller than a man. Hyenas with jaws that crushed bone to get at the marrow. Leopards that hunted in the dark and dragged their kills up into trees. Packs of wolves that coordinated their attacks exactly like we did. These were the masters of the night, built to find soft, warm prey in the dark and kill it before it ever woke. And a sleeping human should have been at the very top of the menu. Understand what these animals actually were, because we've softened them in our imagination. A cave lion could weigh far more than the biggest lions today, with the strength to break a large animal's neck in a single motion. A cave hyena wasn't the skittish scavenger we picture. It was a powerful pack hunter that could bring down big game and grind its bones to powder. These predators had spent millions of years perfecting one skill, finding warm living meat in the dark and ending it fast. Their night vision made ours look like blindness. Their hearing caught sounds we'd sleep straight through. Their sense of smell could find a warm body from far off, downwind, in total blackness. Against all of that, a human had dull eyes, a weak nose, average ears, and a body that took long seconds to wake and stumble upright. In a straight contest between a lone sleeping human and any one of these hunters, there was no contest. The human simply died. This is the animal you were, dropped into a world of monsters' purpose, built to eat exactly you. If a sleeping human was that easy to kill, why didn't the predators simply kill us? Why, night after night, for hundreds of thousands of years, did the most dangerous animals on Earth mostly leave our sleeping ancestors alone? Because they did. You are the proof. Every one of your ancestors slept through those dangerous nights enough times to live and have children, which means something was keeping the hunters at bay. The fear the predators felt was real, but it was never about the sleeping human. It couldn't be. A sleeping human can't hurt anything, so the fear had to be about something else. Something around that human that never went to sleep at all. And the first of those things was the oldest weapon we ever tamed: fire. We've talked about fire on this channel before, but never quite like this. Never as a guardian standing watch in the dark. Because to a predator, fire is not just warm and bright. It is wrong. It is a thing that moves like it is alive, but isn't. That crackles and spits and grows. That no animal instinct knows how to fight. Almost every wild animal is born with a deep hardwired terror of it. And for good reason. Fire in nature means the forest is burning, and you need to run. So when our ancestors learned to keep a fire burning through the night, they didn't just get warmth and light. They planted a thing in the middle of their camp that every predator was instinctively afraid to approach. A wall with no bricks, a barrier a lion could see straight through and still would not cross. And here is the crucial part. The fire didn't sleep when the humans did. That is the whole secret beginning to reveal itself. While every person in that camp lay unconscious and helpless, the fire stood in the dark, burning, flickering, throwing its light out into the night. A guardian that needed no rest, that held the line for hours while its makers dreamed. To the lion at the edge of the dark, that fire said one thing. Clearly, asterisk, the dangerous ones are here, and they are awake enough to keep this burning. Asterisk, the fear the predator felt wasn't of the sleeping bodies. It was of the flame that watched over them. And the fire's power went deeper than fear alone. It stole the predator's greatest advantage, the dark itself. These were hunters built for blackness, animals whose whole strategy depended on seeing you before you saw them, on closing the distance unseen, and striking from nowhere. Inside the ring of firelight, a human could suddenly see the glint of eyes at the tree line, see a shape moving where it shouldn't be. The ambush only works if the prey is blind, and fire gave blind humans a circle of sight in a world of dark. So the predator wasn't only scared of the flame, it was robbed by it, its single greatest weapon. The cover of night simply stopped working within that glowing circle. And no predator likes to attack into a place where its prey can see it coming and it cannot hide. The smart move, the move that kept a predator alive, was to stay out in the dark and wait for easier prey somewhere else. There was always easier prey somewhere else. That was exactly the point. And if this is already changing how you picture an ancient night, if you're starting to see that campfire not as a comfort but as a weapon standing guard, then do me one favor. Tap that subscribe button right now. This channel is for people who want the real story of where we came from, not the cartoon version. The people who want to understand how a soft, slow animal conquered a world full of monsters. You belong here. Now stay with me, because the fire was only the first layer, because a fire, left completely alone, burns down. It needs to be fed, which means the fire itself points to something even more important. Something that reveals the camp was never as asleep as it looked. Because the camp never fully slept, not all at once. This is the piece almost no one thinks about, and it changes everything. We picture an ancient camp as a pile of people all unconscious at the same time, totally vulnerable. But that is not how it worked, and it couldn't be, because the fire had to be fed or it would die. So someone was always awake. Someone who had to be the firekeeper, sitting in the dark, feeding the flame, staying conscious while everyone else slept. And in a larger group, sleep naturally staggers. Some go down early, some wake in the deep of the night. The old sleep lightly and stir at the smallest sound. There is almost never a moment when every single person is in a deep, dead sleep at the same time. The camp as a whole kept one eye open all night long, not because anyone assigned it, but because that is simply what a group of humans does when it sleeps together near a fire. Put yourself in the firekeeper's place for a moment. On one of those nights, everyone you love is asleep behind you. Your family, your whole group, breathing slow in the dark. And it is your job to stay awake and feed the flame. You sit close to it, feeling its warmth on your face, and beyond the small ring of light, the night is a wall of black. You can't see into it, but you can listen, and you know every normal sound of it. The wind, the insects, the shift of the coals. So when a sound comes that doesn't belong, a twig snapping where nothing should be walking, a silence where the insects suddenly stop, you feel it in your whole body before you even think. You go still. You stare into the dark. Your hand finds the spear beside you, or a burning branch. You are the eyes of everyone sleeping behind you, and they are safe precisely because you are not asleep. This is a role someone filled every single night, for hundreds of thousands of years. The camp slept. The camp was never entirely undefended. Those two things were true at the same time, and that combination is a huge part of why we're still here. Now think about what that means for the lion. It is not stalking one sleeping animal. It is stalking a camp where, at any moment, someone might be awake, feeding the fire, shifting in the dark, glancing out toward the tree line. And if that one awake person sees the lion, everything changes in an instant, because a single shout in the night doesn't wake up one human. It wakes up all of them. Because a group of awake humans is one of the most dangerous things that has ever existed. This is where the sleeping human's real protection comes from. not their own body, but the pack around them, ready to explode into action at a single cry, alone. A human is meat. But a camp jolted awake is a wall of enemies grabbing spears and burning branches, screaming, throwing, moving together with a coordination no lion pack could match. We didn't fight predators as individuals. We fought them as a single organism. And a furious, awake, armed group of humans could kill even the greatest cave lion. A predator creeping toward that sleeping camp wasn't sneaking up on easy prey. It was tiptoeing into a nest that could erupt into its death at any second. One noise, one misstep, one alert firekeeper, and the hunter becomes the hunted. Picture that eruption from the lion's side, because it is the thing every predator came to dread. It is crept close, low patient, almost within reach of the sleeping shapes. And then, a shout tears open the night. Not one voice. Within a heartbeat, the whole camp is up, and the quiet clearing becomes chaos aimed directly at the lion. Burning branches snatched from the fire and swung, throwing wild light, spears in a dozen hands. Voices roaring together, huge and coordinated, bodies moving as one toward it, not away, stones flying out of the dark. To the lion, the world has flipped in an instant. The easy meal is now a swarm of fire and points and noise closing on it from every side. Its every instinct screams the same thing. This was a mistake. Get out. Get out now. And if it is a fraction too slow, it doesn't get out at all. That is the moment repeated across the ancient world countless times. That taught the predators their lesson. The camp doesn't just defend itself. It answers an attack with overwhelming, terrifying force. All at once, out of what looked a second ago, like helpless sleep. And this is where we reach the deepest layer. The true shocking reason. The thing that reaches beyond any single night. Because the predators didn't just fear the fire and the group in the moment. They had learned to fear humans, permanently, as a kind. And that learned fear is the most powerful weapon our ancestors ever wielded. A weapon made not of stone or flame, but of memory and reputation. Here is how it worked. Every time a predator attacked a human group, and it went wrong for the predator, every time a lion lunged at a camp and got driven off burned and bleeding, every time a hyena pack tried the humans and lost one of their own to a rain of spears, a lesson was written, not just for that animal, but often for its whole group, its offspring, the other predators that shared that land. Animals learn. Predators especially learn what is safe to hunt and what is not, because getting it wrong gets them killed. And over thousands of years, our ancestors taught the predators of the world one relentless, consistent lesson: humans are not worth it. Humans fight back. Humans have fire and numbers. And something in their hands that kills from a distance. And if you take one of them, the rest do not scatter and flee. They come after you. That last part is the truly frightening thing about us, and predators came to sense it. Most prey, once caught, is a loss the herd simply absorbs and runs from. But humans were vengeful in a way that served survival. A group of humans whose member was taken might track that predator down, corner it, and kill it, not to eat, but to end the threat. To a predator's hard-learned instincts, humans became a kind of prey that punishes you for hunting it. And an animal that punishes back, that comes for you even after the kill, is an animal you learn to leave alone entirely. Follow a single lesson as it gets written, because this is how the invisible wall was built, one hard experience at a time. A young lion, not yet taught, spots a human alone at the edge of the group and takes its chance. Maybe it even succeeds. But the humans don't simply scatter and forget. They read the tracks, because reading tracks is what they do better than almost any animal alive. They follow. They find where the lion ends, and they come together with fire and spears in the daylight when the lion is slow and full, and they make it pay. Now, every lion that shared that ground has a reason to be wary. The survivors carry the lesson. The cubs grow up around wary mothers and inherit the caution. Multiply that single event by thousands across thousands of years, and you are no longer teaching one lion. You are teaching the instincts of an entire species of predators, generation after generation, that the human shape and the human scent mean danger, not dinner. The fear stops being something each animal has to learn the hard way. It becomes something they are almost born with. That is what our ancestors built, not a wall of stone, but a wall inside the minds of every predator around them. Whole generations of predators grew up already wary of the human scent, the human shape, the human camp, avoiding us on instinct, the way they'd avoid any place that had proven deadly. We had become, in the predator's mind, something to steer around. And that is why the fear held even while we slept. Because the reputation didn't switch off when we closed our eyes. The lion at the edge of the firelight wasn't calculating whether these specific sleeping bodies could hurt it. It was feeling something older and deeper, the accumulated dread of 1,000 ancestors who had learned that the human camp is death. The fire, the possibility of an awake watcher, the memory of every predator that tried and died, all of it fused into a single instinct. Asterisk, do not cross that line. Asterisk, an invisible wall, built not in one night, but over 10,000 years, standing guard around a circle of sleeping people who never even knew, in that moment, that it was protecting them. And there was one more quiet way the camp reached out into the dark to keep the hunters back: its smell. A human camp reeked, in the language a predator understands: smoke, drifting for a long way on the night wind. The scent of many humans packed together. The smell of old kills, of fire, of us. And, because the predators had learned what humans were, that smell wasn't an invitation. It was a warning that traveled far beyond the reach of the firelight. A lion downwind didn't need to see the camp to know it was there. It caught the smoke, the human scent, and everything its instincts had learned came flooding in. Asterisk, that direction is the dangerous thing. That direction is the place that fights back. Asterisk, so it turned and hunted elsewhere. And the humans never even knew a predator had been near enough to smell them at all. The camp was defending itself at a distance, with nothing but the smell of its own fire, hours after the people who built it had fallen asleep. The warning carried on the wind while the warners dreamed. So let's kill the myth you might have walked in with. That ancient humans survived the night because they were tough, or lucky, or because a sleeping human was somehow secretly dangerous. None of that is true. A sleeping human was as helpless as they come. We didn't survive the night by being strong in it. We survived it by making our entire species so costly to attack that the predators of the world chose, generation after generation. We won it in advance, in every previous encounter, in every predator that learned the hard way, in every lesson burned into the instincts of the hunters around us. Our safety while sleeping was not a shield we held. It was a debt the predators had already been taught to pay. And think about what a strange and total victory that is. We took the most vulnerable state a creature can be in, deep, unconscious sleep, out in the open, surrounded by giants built to kill, and we made it asterisk safe. Asterisk not by growing claws or armor, by taming fire that stood watch, by sleeping in a group that never fully slept, by turning ourselves, as a species, into something the predators feared to touch. A soft, slow animal with no natural weapons made the night lions afraid of the dark. That is not a small thing. That might be one of the most astonishing things our ancestors ever pulled off, and it was a complete reversal of the natural order. For most of life's history, being big and strong and armed with claws and fangs was the top of the food chain. The giants ruled, and everything soft and slow was prey. They took the traits that should have made them helpless, no armor, no weapons, deep vulnerable sleep, and paired them with the things no animal had ever combined before: fire, cooperation, memory, and the will to strike back as one. And with that combination, a creature that any single lion could kill became a creature that all the lions together had learned to fear. We didn't climb to the top of the food chain by becoming the strongest animal. We climbed there by becoming the one animal the strongest animals decided not to fight. So here is what I want you to feel. The next time you sit beside a fire as the dark comes down, that deep, quiet calm that settles over you when you're near the flames. That sense of safety you can't quite explain, older than any thought. It is hundreds of thousands of years of your ancestors sitting exactly where you're sitting, feeling exactly what you're feeling. That inside the circle of firelight, watched over by the flame, surrounded by your people, you are safe from the things in the dark. The predators are gone now. The giants are extinct. But the calm the fire gives you remains, wired deep into you. A memory older than words, of a time when that small ring of light was the line the monsters would not cross, and the reason your bloodline lived to see the morning. But the fire didn't only keep the predators out, because while it stood guard in the dark, it was doing something else to the humans gathered around it. Something that may have changed our minds, our bonds, and what we became as a species. So what really happened to humans in the glow of the fire, in those long nights around the flame? That is the story we open next.